Seeing some rain from this, carbon as well, but you're not likely seeing the hail that they're seeing off to the west. So as we zoom out a little bit, I'm keeping an eye on multiple things here. We've got multiple storms going on, kind of a weird looking storm. You can see multiple appendages coming down there, but that area of rotation is what we're the most concerned about, and that is very clear, and it's been clear since it pushed its way into the state. So down the line from this, you can see they've issued a severe thunderstorm warning. That includes areas like Corning, not quite to Creston yet. That goes until 10 p.m. as well, and I wouldn't doubt that that's for, David, what would you say that's at? Like 1.5 to 2 inch hail associated with that new warning by Corning?
For the Corning area, they are saying up to 2 inch hail.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense with the core that we're seeing associated with this storm. We've got another severe thunderstorm warning again upwards towards Atlantic. That one is that one still active?
That is still in effect until 9:15. I believe that they're allowing it to expire at this point.
Okay, it sounds like we may have a new warning.
We just got a new warning coming in, so I'm checking for Cass and Adair County. So they are extending that one, so that will go until 10 o'clock. So we are looking at a severe thunderstorm warning there for eastern Cass County into Adair County until 10 o'clock. And this is going to be for some quarter-sized to half-dollar-sized hail. So again, this storm here just south of Anita, south of Adair, moving into Adair County. This is probably going to pass just north of Greenfield, but a pretty wide expanse there with the potential for some quarter to half-dollar-sized hail with that severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, and the storm of the day that we've seen so far, I mean, we've had multiple storms now, really just the two that we've seen push in. But this one has been the strongest by far, and we'll hop back over and take a look at the rotation. Going to continue to monitor that. Still very tight rotation. As we've talked about, again, that tornado warning includes areas like Villisca, Clarinda. You're not under that. This is jogged a little bit to the north, so that prime area of rotation doesn't look like it's going to be impacting you, and in fact you may dodge this storm altogether, besides maybe some hail shooting off the top of it. But that core of the storm again now making its way into Villisca, and with the velocity just to the west. Again, got to be in that lowest level of your house, be in that most interior room of your house, as that rotation is just as strong as ever, and it's just a really tight area of rotation. We don't often get signatures this strong. Granted, again, it's kind of scaled down and tightened up. Before we had a really wide area of strong rotation, but all it takes is a smaller area of rotation like this to spin up a tornado. And again, we've seen that today, and we've seen this continue to have a tornado on it, a confirmed tornado for miles now. And this is pushing eastward. I'm going to zoom in a little bit further here. We've got 105th Street, K Avenue, L Avenue. You see the new radar update pushes it right over K Avenue and 105th Street. This is going to be working its way towards N Avenue, all the way down 110th Street as well, towards P Avenue, Q Avenue. If you live in this area at all, it is imperative that you get yourself to safety immediately, because we've had confirmation that this is on the ground. But even that latest radar update makes that rotation, it's still tight, but at least we've seen that start to die down a little bit. So,
yeah, I want to show you that, Jason. Here over the last 30 minutes, that was really an incredible area of rotation, a very, very large tornado. But you can see the area that is covered by this rotation over the last 30 minutes really shrinking considerably. So while this is by no means all clear, this is definitely still a tornado, but it is weakening at this point in time. So that is perhaps a little bit of good news here as it continues to move right down the Montgomery and Page County line south of Stanton. Still moving right at Villisca, so you still need to be in your safe place in Villisca right now, because this is definitely still a tornado, but perhaps some shreds of hope here that this storm is maybe starting to weaken just a little bit. That rotation definitely shrinking over the last 30 minutes, Jason.
Yeah, and what we saw on radar too was kind of a confirmation of that, as we saw that massive hook earlier kind of disappear, and now we don't have that glaring appendage hanging down, but we still have that core of rotation that's been pushing east, and really just a very large hail core associated with this storm. Villisca, before you even see that tornadic rotation, you've got a core of hail that's going to be pushing its way on over. And again, that's up to around 2 inches in portions of this storm. And well, that's the main portion right there. As we hop over to impacts, you can see it just over the top of you right now, Nottoway. That hail core is working its way your direction, or eventually towards Brooks, and just south of Brooks is where we're going to continue to see that work its way. So I want to look at shear tracker here. Take a look at a couple areas of rotation. Main area there, well, it's a little muddy out ahead of that, but we'll keep an eye to make sure that no other areas of this storm are trying to kind of form that tornadic rotation. But thankfully, again, as David said, it's becoming to get a little bit more muddy as it's pushed its way to the east. So areas down the line here, we got to keep a close eye on this for you. But as David said, there's a lot of hope that we're not going to be seeing that strong rotation for a lot longer. We zoom back up towards Adair, Greenfield area. That storm capable of producing hail upwards of around an inch, inch and a half. We look at the impact from that hail core just to the south of Anita. This is going to work to the north of Fontenelle. Greenfield, that hail core, I'll zoom out and we'll put it in motion here. I'm hopeful that's going to pass hopefully just to the north of you. You're likely going to still see some small hail associated with that storm, and you'll likely see some rain. It's going to be pretty electrically active too. If you look at the lightning associated with this, it is all over the place. These are very strong storms. So you're going to get quite the light show to go along with that. But as far as the worst of the hail is concerned, I think that may stay just to the north for you. But we still have another storm west of there towards Atlantic, a little weaker variety, but still could even see some small hail associated with that storm. We'll zoom back down to the south here and keep an eye on the massive rotating storm that we've had. Again, it's become a little bit more muddy. As we look at Shear Tracker, it's still tracking.
We do have a new tornado warning that has just gone out for Adams and Taylor County that goes until 10 o'clock. So that's just continuing the track of this storm.
Yeah, and important to note with that tornado warning, this takes away the confirmed tornado that's been on the ground. So we've been talking about these flashing orange polygons. That means that we've had a confirmed tornado on the ground. We've got the rotation now, but we haven't had spotters anymore that are seeing that tornado on the ground. But all of the signs are still there that we may have the rotation necessary to produce a tornado. And that last scan, I think, is very helpful. You look at the last scan on radar, the rotation has weakened even more, but something we've talked about time and time again. We get situations like this where that rotation really ramps down and then this whole area kind of recycles, rejuvenates, and then spits out another tornado. It's definitely still a very strong storm, but I don't know about you, David, that last scan really...
Yeah, the rotation's basically gone, but I'm watching just southeast of Villisca and Nottoway now because there's some signs of like some enhanced inflow here, Jason, southeast of Villisca. So perhaps right in this area. So our rotation's back here south of Stanton. That has really weakened and dissipated, but there's some signs that perhaps this part of the storm here just south and maybe just east of Villisca is trying to reorganize. So we don't have anything that's concrete right now, but I would not let your guard down with this storm. We've seen how long it has persisted all the way from southeast Nebraska into the Villisca area now, and it's still a very powerful storm. So although that area of rotation has diminished considerably here in the last 5 minutes, this portion of the storm is perhaps trying to reorganize, so something we definitely cannot let our guard down with this.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's, again, another one of the reasons why they extended that warning so far to the east, including areas like Sharpsburg, Lenox, as well as Corning. So I'm going to hop back over to Shear Trackers. It was kind of picking up on that area David was talking about to the south of Villisca. Again, it doesn't look like much at the moment, but 2 scans ago, this thing was an absolute monster, and you can see still broad rotation that we've got. And yeah, the Weather Service is now talking about that new area of rotation. So good work there, David. You can see that rotation just to the south of Villisca. So Villisca, if you're not in your safe space, you have to be there. Thankfully, this does look like it's cycling a little bit. Again, not confirmation that a tornado's on the ground, but signs still pointing to this being a very dangerous situation where that may be the case. So Villisca, you'll want to get to your safe space. I'm going to put a new track on this. With that area of rotation, again, moving to the east at around 30 miles per hour. Corning, you're going to want to make sure that you are in your safe space as well. You may have a little bit of time here, but still going to be around 10 minutes for Nottoway. You've got around 18 minutes for Brooks. Corning coming in at around 25 minutes. Hopefully we continue to see this stay muddy and that rotation doesn't really start to reinvigorate, but for the time being, it's just too dangerous of a situation to not pay attention to. And you can kind of see that little hook that we've got going on down there with that new area of rotation. So if we zoom in on that, again, just to the south of Villisca, you'll have areas like T Avenue, 116th Street, making its way towards Willow Avenue. We zoom out just a little bit here. and you can see Henshaw eventually, and Nottoway just under that hail core as well. So not only are you seeing that rotation make its way your direction, you're likely getting pelted with at least some very heavy rain and likely some large hail associated with that as well. And well out ahead of this thing, I know you're hearing sirens right now and you're seeing rain for areas like Corning, even towards Lenox, but you've got the rotation still off to the west in Villisca, even though you're likely getting pelted with that rain. So don't try and go outside and see this thing. For you, it's just not going to be visible at all because of that shield of rain that we've got out ahead of that. Hopping back over to shear, you can see it's painted that bullseye now for strong rotation with the shear tracker that we have. And I'll zoom back in there and we'll take a look at where it thinks that strongest rotation sits. And I'm sure it's similar locations as to where we saw earlier, 120th Street, working towards Willow Avenue, 130th Lane. That's pushing eastward towards Browning Avenue, 120th Street. And we're working our way even further to the east towards Denver Avenue as well. So this is going to continue for a bit longer if you're just tuning in. We've had a strong, large tornado that's been working its way through southern and southwestern portions of the state. Adams-Taylor County now included in that. Again, not confirmed on the ground anymore. That's what that purple flashing box means, but the rotation is still there, and it's kind of recycled. We had an initial area of rotation, and now we've got a new area of rotation just to the southeast of Villisca. And that's starting to tighten up a little bit. You look at the rotation right here, and you can see those bright colors right next to each other. We don't like to see that as a meteorologist. That's where we're seeing the rotation that is conducive to tornadic formulation out there. So we'll zoom out a little bit further here. I want to take another look at the storm that we've got to the north to make sure it is not redeveloping as well, as this one has kind of been recycling again. I wouldn't doubt that we see that rotation strengthen up on that storm as it's continuing to move through really ample instability and a whole lot of moisture that's going to continue to keep that alive and make that survive out there. But we're west of Greenfield now. And again, we've got really just a nice little core on this storm, kind of trying to hook a little bit, but as we look at rotation, that is really messy at this point. So these are the two storms, two of the main storms that we're keeping an eye on because they've been kind of the storms of the day. We've, again, had tornado warnings on this one well westward of this. Those kind of tapered back.
Jason, I want to jump in here real quickly because it looks like from the the Omaha radar. Let me see if I can, no, this is actually Des Moines radar, so let me flip this over real quickly. Right here, just west of Villisca, a new tight area rotation, possibly a tornado, is showing up here just southwest of Villisca. This is the latest scan that just came in. This says to me that there's a tornado trying to form, if not already on the ground, just miles southwest of Villisca, maybe a mile southwest of Villisca right now.
Yeah, so get to that safe space, guys. Again, we've talked about this time and time again. It doesn't take long. You can take one radar scan or two before these start to spin up and form that tornado. So I'm going to zoom back in down there, and you can see that area continuing to tighten. We go to the shear tracker.
Try the Des Moines radar site.
Okay, let's hop back over there into velocity, and there's that area that David's talking about just to the west of Villisca right now. So really tight area of rotation. Again, not the strongest signature we've seen today, but it doesn't take much to drop a tornado, especially when you've got the rotation and the energy that we do today. So as we take a look at this and drag this eastward at around 30 miles per hour, Villisca, you need to be in that safe space right now. This is on top of you. Nottoway, you've got 10 minutes. Brooks coming in at 20 minutes. Corning coming in at 27 minutes. And we'll see how this continues to develop. Again, we've seen multiple areas of rotation form with this. We look at the radar, and it's trying to do something. We've got kind of an appendage hanging down to the south of Villisca, and we had that area rotation to the southwest of Villisca. So this thing is really, really trying to organize, and we saw it kind of collapse for a little bit, but now it's recycling that energy, and we're seeing this start to strengthen again. And not only are we seeing that with the rotation, but you can see the hail core has strengthened back up again. So still seeing hail to the tune of around 1.5 to 2 inches out of this storm as it's been working its way through Villisca upwards towards Corning. Corning, you're not in that main area of rotation just yet, but if this continues to jog its way northward, we're going to have to keep a close eye on that. You're going to be seeing sheets of rain like you already are probably right now, and then a time period of hail before that tight rotation pushes its way on in, but looks like you've got a pretty good view of that rotation over there, David.
Yeah, so the latest scan just came in. So we had that area rotation here about a mile west of Villisca. It's now not as strong as it was, but certainly way too close for comfort. So everybody in Villisca, you need to be in your safe place right now. We're also seeing a broader area of rotation kind of right over the Nottoway area, just east of Hepburn. This is all just south of Highway 34 here, just east of Villisca. So we're not seeing a really definite sign of a tornado right now, but that rotation is still there, and it looks like it's trying to organize once again. We still have that pocket right just about a mile west of Villisca that's still trying to show that perhaps a tornado is trying to touch down, and it looks like they are now updating this to a confirmed tornado, Jason.
Yeah, so we've had storm spotters that have actually seen this and have reported that to the Weather Service, and now we have confirmation that it is indeed on the ground. And we've seen this time and time again with this cell. It started off as a large tornado that made its way to the east, and it's kind of recycled a couple times, and now it appears to be spitting out another tornado. So not only do we have that, we've got a hail core to the northeast of Villisca. We go to your velocity tracker, as David mentioned. We've got multiple areas of circulation, one to the west of Villisca and one over Nottoway at this point. And as you look at the winds associated with this, I wouldn't doubt we've got 60, even 70 mile per hour winds in spots. And you look at the rotational signature here, and we'll see what it's picking up, but it's got shear of around 80 miles per hour on it, which is very strong. Again, hail size to the tune of around 2 1/4. And we just got another radar update here, so I'm going to hop back over, and you can see it's trying to tighten up just to the southeast of Villisca. That rotation that was pushing through Villisca maybe weakened just a touch. Still need to be in that safe space in Villisca as well as Nottoway. Brooks, I would even be in that safe space as well. But I think we're going to start to see that main area of rotation just to the south of Nottoway now as that velocity has really started to pick up. We've seen that rotation pick up, and we're starting to see this storm kind of reorganize, maybe another little hook trying to form there. Just kind of an odd-shaped storm as you go back even further west from Villisca. I know you just had that rotation push through and some weak rotation on top of you now, but you've got hail that you're going to still be getting through, and you still have some pretty heavy rain. Let's hop back north here to the storm that we've got near Greenfield, and still a strong storm up here. Again, hail to the tune of around an inch or so, I would say. And you look at velocities right now, we're not seeing anything too impressive. We've got some inbound winds that have strengthened a little bit, so we'll have to keep an eye on that to see if this is trying to reorganize as well. But for now, we're not seeing anything tornadic with this system. Just a solid hail core, heavy rain, and as we talked about before, a whole lot of lightning that is associated with this storm. But if we continue to see the inflow on this storm strengthen, that could strengthen the storm and strengthen that rotation as well. But eventually, hopefully what we see is some of this blow off and interrupt the storm that we've got that's working its way towards
Yeah, so Jason, this storm up here in Adair County is likely getting blocked somewhat by the bigger storm down to the south. It's definitely in a less favorable area for rotation, but it still has a very strong updraft. That's why we're still seeing the hail potential here, basically the entire width of Adair County here, just north of Greenfield, just south of I-80. So that's why we still have this severe thunderstorm warning that is in place. The good news is all the rotation with this thunderstorm is several thousand feet up in the air. So right now it does not appear that it is rotating significantly enough to be a tornado threat. And I think with that storm down to the south, it's still going to be interrupting that inflow. So hopefully we don't see that rotation strengthen here, but certainly all across Adair County, we're looking at the potential for some quarter to perhaps $half sized hail with this storm right now. And you can see those dark reds and purples stretching all the way east to west here, south of I-80. So definitely still a strong storm, but it looks like, at least from my analysis right now, that the rotation is very elevated within this thunderstorm, and it doesn't really have that surface component that we'd be looking for any rotation for a tornado potential, but definitely still catches your eye there. That's for sure.
Yeah, and again, another eye catcher to the south. We've been continuing to track the storm through Villisca. Again, we've got that tornado warning that includes areas like Corning, eastward towards Lenox. Large hail associated with this, and really a large hail core. We just got a new update as far as rotation is concerned. and we can still see that rotational component that's been pushing its way to the southeast of Villisca. So I'm going to hop between a couple radars here. You can see even on the Omaha radar, we've got really some tighter rotation to the east of Villisca. I'll zoom in a little bit here. We'll take a look. That's to the southeast of Nottoway right now. Ivyville, that's going to be working its way into you momentarily. So areas like 275th Street, 265th Street as well, towards Grove Avenue, Hickory Avenue. You're all going to be under the gun for that rotation that's surging its way eastward. And as we go over to your shear tracker, you can see it's thinking it's a little bit messier, but we may see this tighten up just a little bit in that area that I've been watching. So hopping between our different radars here again, you can see that shows some very strong winds even associated with that. Even out ahead of this, we're talking about strong winds for areas like Lenox and upwards of Corning. Granted, we're far away from the radar right now, so these may not be truly making it all the way down to the ground, but likely still have 35, 45 mile per hour wind gusts, if not 50 mile per hour wind gusts out ahead of this thing as this has been pushing its way in, and the core of that storm still to the southwest of Corning. So I want to hop back over to velocity and we'll put a track on that area of rotation again. Make sure everybody knows, if you're just tuning in, we've got a tornado warning, Adams-Taylor County. This has been working its way to the east, kind of been recycling, and had a large tornado on it earlier, and then it got a little muddled, and now it looks like we have the potential to have that again. Lenox, you got around 26 minutes before this is going to be pushing its way your direction. And again, Corning, this is just to the south of you, too safe for comfort at the moment. So I'd like you to take shelter as well, as these things tend to kind of jog back and forth a little bit. And besides the matter, you've got some large hail that you're likely going to be seeing work its way your direction as well. So again, areas down the line here, if this does hold together, that's going to mean Creston. That may mean Afton as well. And as we continue to get these radar updates in here, you can see just the strength of the wind, strength of the rotation. It's continuing to build just to the southeast of Villisca, that area that's highlighted in blue. Just to the southeast of Nottoway is that prime area of rotation, south of Brooks, south of Corning. This is really starting to ramp up and starting to organize a little bit too. So I know it looked a little bit weaker just moments ago, but this is an area that we're going to have to continue to keep an eye on as this storm continues to kind of recycle and re-strengthen. You look at the hail core on our impact tracker here, and that has aggressively strengthened. A wide hail core now between Villisca and Corning, again capable of hail upwards of around 2 inches or so. We've seen this further to the west put down baseball-size hail. So this storm, again, as it moves into air, has not been disturbed before, could still be pulling in some of that energy necessary to not only produce something tornadic, but to possibly be producing some very large hail to go along with that as well. And again, that hail core fairly expansive right now. So I'll zoom back in a little bit here. I want to hop over to shear tracker and see what it's thinking. You can see that kind of elongated area of rotation with a little bullseye in it. Again, that rotation has ramped back up a bit. And as we look at out ahead of this, areas like Corning, again, make sure you're in that safe space right now as this storm continues to march eastward. I'll put a motion on our shear tracker here, and you'll be able to see exactly the motion. It does have kind of a northeast component to it now. So Corning, safe space. Lenox, you got to be in that safe space. This may clip just that southern edge of Corning with that main area of rotation that we're continuing to track. As we go back to radar, I'm going to zoom out statewide, give you all an idea of what we're seeing across the state. Again, we've had some showers and thunderstorms up near Kossuth County. You can see we've even got one severe storm up near Kossuth County right now, largely a hail maker there. Again, these are elevated storms well up to the north here, and widely scattered showers and thunderstorms along with that. You may be hearing some rumbles, you may be hearing some thunder, but this is the only storm we've got just east of Esterville, going to be clipping that northern edge of Kossuth County. That'll have the potential to put down any hail. And some heavy rain, though, beneficial rains are what we're seeing across northern portions of the state and to the south, even though we've got, again, very dangerous situation that's been unfolding for southern portions of the state. You can still see that hook there that has redeveloped. This looked really unorganized about 15 minutes ago, and we've seen it reorganize And even that area, that storm up off to the north, still staying strong with the hail cores we're seeing up there right now. That pushing its way eastward. I'll put this in motion, and you can see Winterset. You're likely going to be on the southern edge of this. Could see a little bit of hail. I think we'll see more hail in spots like Adair, probably already has Adel, towards Norwalk. This may push its way into the metro. We've had the track on these for a while, even yesterday with our Futurecast. We had these storms pushing their way right downtown, and it appears that that's what we're going to see right now. So I'll put a track on this one too. We can track out the hail associated with this storm. You can see the core there, right there in black. As this surges its way to the northeast, areas like Stewart, you've got 19 minutes. In Dexter, you've got 26 minutes. You're already seeing the rain. You're likely hearing a lot of rumbles of thunder, but that main hail core is still a ways out from you. Southern portions of the state, again, Corning, you're on the edge of that. That dark area in black there, that massive hail core that we've been tracking, along with that area of rotation that continues to march its way across portions of southern Iowa, east of Villisca, Nottoway towards Brooks right now. More radar updates coming in, trying to pinpoint that main area of rotation. I'll hop back over to velocity, and we've got it right there. So I'm going to hop between a couple different radars here, see if we can get a clear view of it. Zooming in, that's that area, again, just towards Ivyville, 110th Street, 270th Street. This is going to be pushing its way east towards Kentucky Avenue, eventually towards Locust Avenue as well. So we'll see if this rotation can hold itself together. But right now, on Shear Tracker, you can see how tight that rotation is. We've got some strong rotation there. So hopefully we start to see this ramp down a little bit, but it has been holding together as it's made its way through more robust moisture that we've got through southern portions of the state. Look at the hail core right here, west of Corning. I'll hop back over to impacts, and you can see it's tightened up a little bit, but Corning, get ready for some big hail. This is a massive hail core. I'll put it in motion for you here, and you can see it heading right for you. Really started to ramp up as it made its way through Villisca. Even areas like Carbon, wouldn't be surprised if you see some larger hail shooting off from this up into your neck of the woods. I'm going to track that hail core out as well. Again, it's kind of offset from that area of rotation. So this is, again, moving to the east with a slight northeast component at around 30 miles per hour. Corning, you got about 6 minutes before some pretty big hail is going to be pushing its way through town. Prescott, you've got around 18 minutes. David, I see you've got some hail size estimations over there.
Yeah, so looking at this storm, a few minutes ago, the hail size has kind of come down a little bit, but it has re-intensified, and now the radar is estimating perhaps 2 to 2.5 inch sized hail. So we're talking about tennis ball sized hail possible with this thunderstorm just about to come into the Corning area. So hopefully everybody has some sort of shelter that can get their cars, and certainly staying indoors, because this is going to be doing damage if we start seeing tennis ball sized hail coming into Corning. The Brooks area as well, back toward Nottoway, you're still being impacted by this hail core. So you can really see the hail here in portions of the storm here between Nottoway and Corning. So it's still producing that hail, and it looks like perhaps in the last 20-25 minutes that the hail core has re-intensified as we're watching the rotation kind of re-intensify, Jason.
Yeah, and important to note that tornado watch that we've had for southern portions of the state has been extended to include Clark, Decatur, Lucas, Madison, Warren, and Wayne counties. That watch goes until midnight, and again, largely due to the storms that we're seeing out there right now, that area of rotation that we watched die out almost entirely has really started to ramp back up. That's just to the southwest of Corning now. So it's still a little bit broad in spots, but you hop over to Storm Relative, you can see just how strong the winds are right now south of Corning. And as we see those inbound winds in red there start to strengthen again as well, this rotation really going to start to tighten up. We do have that tornado warning that is in place. Again, that goes until 10 p.m. So we're about 18.5 minutes away from that. And if this storm continues to do what I think it does, there's a good chance that we see this extended further to the east. So again, that would include areas like Kent and maybe Shannon City if this can hold together. But signs have pointed to it doing just that. It hasn't lost a lot of luster. It may look a little messier than it did even a half an hour ago, but it still has the rotation, it still has the strength, still has the large hail associated with it as well. So zooming out a little bit further, we're going to hop back over to our velocity tracker here, And we'll put a track on this right dead center of that rotation. And we'll go to the east. And Lenox, you got about 24 minutes before this is going to push its way into town. And it's a little bit broad, as we talked about, but a lot of times these kind of broaden out and then they tighten up as the storm strengthens. And with the hail core kind of reinvigorating, a really good sign that we're seeing exactly that happen. The storm really strengthens. So Corning, we talked about this, that hail core just about on top of you now. As David said, wouldn't be surprised to see 2.5 inch hail that's associated with this as the storm works its way on through. Zooming out a little bit, want to take a look to the north here. Haven't forgot about you guys, just north of Greenfield. That hail core continues to push its way on through. Greenfield, it looks like you'll be spared from the worst of the hail here, but you likely will see at least some small hail as the storm pushes through. You can see how tight and compact that core is right now, though. As we zoom in a little bit further, that's going to mean areas just north of Greenfield, like 170th Street, 190th Street. That's some big hail that's going to be dropping on you in spots. So keep that in mind before you make your way out the door. And again, a pretty good light show going on here. Stewart, Earlham, eventually down the line, if that holds together. Again, that core is really tight and really compact, and as David said, elevated. So we'll see if that continues to get choked off by the stronger storm that we have to the south right now. But that storm to the south has really intensified. You can see the deep blacks that we have in the center of this. This has really started to ingest more of that moisture and more of that energy, and that's allowed this thing to start to become much more robust. That rotation still somewhat broad. I'm going to hop between a few different sources here, and we'll keep a close eye on it, but really looking like that rotation may strengthen a little bit here as we head into the next 15 minutes or so. So that could tighten up and again produce a tornado. Not confirmed on the ground right now. If that was the case, we'd see this polygon in red here in purple, but still pretty good chances that we're seeing something, tornadic rotation start to unfold here again.
Yeah, and Jason, perhaps a little bit of good news is the air that this storm has been in has been between about 75 and 80 degrees, and it's moving into air that is dropping off into the 60s. So it's actually moving into some cooler and some drier air. So hopefully that will lead to some weakening. But when storms are this intense, they can kind of bring the atmosphere with them in some cases. But temperatures ahead of this storm out near Creston, out near Lamoni, dropping into the low 70s and upper 60s. There's also quite a bit of drier air here ahead of that thunderstorm. So hopefully that will lead to some weakening. But certainly at the moment, it still looks very, very intense right on top of the Corning area. And that's where we're looking at potentially maybe some tennis ball sized hail here in the next few minutes. So hopefully everybody is indoors, staying away from windows, because even though the threat for a tornado is low in Corning at the moment, that tennis ball sized hail could certainly smash through windows and things like that. So I want you indoors, away from windows, and perhaps even taking shelter as this rotation is still very, very nearby.
Yeah, and all signs are pointing to it still somewhat strengthening as the hail core has ramped up. And again, we've seen that on velocity. Well, go to storm relative. It shows it a little bit better. Absolutely, that has strengthened. You can see just to the southwest of Corning here, south of Brooks, that prime area of rotation making its way into Holt. Where I'm looking is right here. You can see that pink and that green right next to each other. I think this is where we're really going to start to see that rotation continue to tighten up. So as we go to your shear tracker, you can see it's all kinds of excited about that. We'll zoom in. Hawley Avenue, 270th Street, 110th Street as well. This is going to be pushing east towards Kentucky Avenue, Locust Avenue, Mulberry Avenue as well. Eventually upwards perhaps towards Mercer if we do see this continue to strengthen and continue to hold together, which signs are pointing to that being the case. We'll hop over to your debris tracker, not picking up on anything with that at the moment, but you can see that core that we've got right there, and we'll see if this right here is going to start to reorganize into more of a confirmed hook. But what we're seeing is that core to the north and the rotational component just to the southwest of that. So again, Corning likely seeing some fairly big hail that's pushing its way in right now. That's just to the south of Carbon. Wouldn't doubt that Carbon is even picking up on some of that hail. Prescott, this is going to be working its way your direction. And again, it's large. We're talking about big hail, over 2 inches associated with these storms. You got about 18 minutes. Corning, I can give you a couple minutes at best before that large hail starts to push its way in. Lennox may be spared from the largest of the hail. Thankfully, with that last scan, it looks like the hail core may have weakened just a little bit. We'll see what that did to the rotation. Maybe a little broad, may still be a little bit broad. It wasn't as good as it was even a scan ago, but still enough, at least broad rotation there, where we may be even just a couple scans away from more tornadic circulation. So Lennox, you've got to be in that safe space. We're looking at areas like Kent as well. We'll see if it makes it as far east as Shannon City. I'll put a new tracker right in the middle of that rotation. And this is moving almost due east. So Lennox, you've got 17 minutes now. Kent, you're talking 28 minutes before this potentially tornadic rotation is going to be pushing its way into your neck of the woods. And as David said, there's drier air out ahead of this, not quite as conducive. The best instability we've seen today has been through southwestern Iowa, and that's where we saw the large tornado that formed, and that's what prompted us to hop on air here and start doing coverage for you guys. And we saw, again, another storm to the north that's been pushing through Greenfield now. Again, nothing tornadic up there, but still some heavy rain. We're talking about the potential for hail. I'm going to zoom back out here because I know we've got another storm well to the north. Looks like that one has weakened some. Still widely scattered showers and thunderstorms up near Mason City towards Kossuth County, Algona, not quite towards Fort Dodge. Not severe storms at this point. Likely seeing some heavy rain, maybe even some lightning, a whole lot of lightning in fact. But know that if you're in this area and you're hearing those storms, the biggest storm threat is to the south. You're going to be getting some beneficial rains, and you're going to be hearing really electrically active storms, but you don't have the tornado threat and really much of a hail threat up there as we do through southern portions of the state. And that's all because of the 2 storms that have been rumbling their way across the state right now. So this is going to momentarily be pushing its way into the metro areas like Waukee down through Winterset. Already seeing some showers and likely seeing some thunder and lightning associated with this. That's not quite into town yet, but once it is, oh man, we've got an electrically active storm, we've got large hail associated with this, and some really, really beneficial rain. So thankful for that, not thankful for the hail or the potential for anything tornadic, but again, this cell does not look to be producing anything tornadic. Even the winds on it don't even appear that strong anymore. Just looking at largely a hail threat. And you look at that, kind of a displaced core here, the strongest core right now just to the north of Greenfield. You can see that kind of lobing itself down towards Greenfield. Smaller hail associated with that, maybe to the tune of around a ½ inch or so. But the largest hail that we're seeing is pushing its way into Corning right now. The last scan on that storm brought that hail core a little bit weaker. So thankfully, that's a sign that the storm has weakened a little bit. Not a sign that the storm is dying by any stretch, but when we're up here doing coverage like this, any sign like that is a good sign that perhaps we're seeing the storm kind of wind down a little bit. That rotation still broad though, south of Corning. So still enough there to think that we could potentially see some tornadic circulation. And you can see our radar product here, the shear tracker, showing a couple areas. We'll see on velocity again. Looks like that main area of rotation right now is just to the south of Corning. We hop over to your radar, and it's gotten a little bit messier in spots, but it's still likely ingesting a lot of moisture, and it's still likely seeing that area of rotation persist. So I'll zoom back in here, and we'll go street level with you. This is going to be just to the south of Mercer now, that area of rotation that we're seeing. Right along 265th Street, 250th Street, that's right along Mulberry, Locust, Kentucky Avenue, as we've talked about, pushing now towards Poplar Avenue as well. So it's kind of been pulsing up and down. Again, the rotation has been a little bit broad at times, but still enough here where this storm that has rumbled its way in from Nebraska to think that we're going to continue to see this surge eastward, and hopefully we see it weaken in the next few scans. But again, with what we're seeing right now, a fairly strong storm. David, you're still tracking, looks like hail size over there associated with this storm?
Yeah, watching that core, which is just right on top of Corning. So hopefully everybody has been able to kind of get into shelter there. And this is going to be taking a direct aim at Prescott here in the next 10 minutes. And we're still seeing an estimated hail size of at least 2 inches, perhaps up to 2.5 inches. And occasionally the radar has been estimating hail size up to about 3 inches. So that's larger than baseballs. So that would be some very, very dangerous hail here with this storm that's right on top of Corning. It's tracking due east, almost due east down Highway 34 here. And so this hail core is likely going to be moving its way up into the Prescott area as well. So still a very, very dangerous storm. Even though we're not tracking a tornado on the ground right now, this is still producing some extremely dangerous hail, again, on the order of perhaps tennis ball size, maybe close to baseball sized in some cases. So this is definitely a storm that you do not want to mess with. You want to be indoors, away from windows, in your tornado shelter, even as we still have that tornado warning ongoing at this moment. Still not seeing, Jason, really organized rotation with this storm. So that's certainly a little bit of good news. I'll put the velocity back on the screen so we can look at that. But there's still that really, really broad rotation going on here. The green, that would be the winds blowing toward Des Moines. The red, the wind blowing away from Des Moines. So there's still indications of rotation here just to the south of Corning, just west of Lenox, southwest of Prescott. But it's not that really intense, really close together rotation, that tight rotation that we had earlier with this storm. But it's still definitely one that we don't want to mess with. And, you know, it's been such a long-lived storm all the way from west of Nebraska City all the way here into southwest Iowa. So certainly a storm that we hope will weaken here soon. And at the moment, though, it's still a dangerous system.
It is, yeah. And like you had said earlier, we're moving into a slightly worse atmosphere, slightly worse environment. So hopefully we start to see this ramp down and have that broad rotation really become more broad and just non-existent. But we still have the hail core even without that broad rotation. And as you had mentioned, that had hail of around 2, maybe 2.5 inches, even up to 3 inches. That has backed down. You look at the last couple scans of this, and there are signs that this storm has weakened, but we have also seen this pulse up and down. We've also seen this kind of recycle and re-ramp up and bring in that tornadic rotation again. But as we continue to push to the east, again, less favorable environment, eventually we may start to see these become a little more elevated, and that will hopefully cut off that tornado risk or tornado threat for us. But right now, that large area of hail pushing its way towards Creston. We look at the rotation. Again, that's just to the south of Corning right now. It's a little messy, and our shear tracker radar product struggles with a little bit because it's not quite as tight of a rotation as David mentioned, and it almost appears on velocity that there could be a couple. But I'm going to hop between, there we go, back to Omaha radar, and you can see just how broad that area of rotation has become. So we'll see as this starts to push its way further to the east. The tornado warning expires at 10 p.m. There is a chance that if this rotation continues to weaken, that they would not extend that warning, and that may allow us to push our way back into the 10 p.m. newscast. So we'll see how that goes, but I figured I'd give you guys warning out there that if this does continue to weaken, there would be a chance that we would see that, and we are seeing signs at least that this may be weakening enough, but still very strong winds. We got a core of strong winds that are pushing their way through Corning right now, southeast of Corning. This is continuing to put out winds, I would say, even around 50 miles per hour. As we get the dropper here, I can show you, 45 to around 55 miles per hour associated with this storm. So I know we've talked a lot about tornadic rotation, but even with that aside, we're talking about hail potentially to the tune of 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, and winds of around 45 to 55 miles per hour. But thankfully, continuing to watch that rotation kind of wind itself down and become a lot more broad. So hopefully in the next 4.5 minutes, we can drop off here and get into the newscast. But right now, that area of broad rotation looks like it's pushing its way towards Lenox, eventually towards Kent. This is the weakest we have seen this rotation, I would say, so far with this storm. And as it pushes eastward, not encountering nearly as good of an environment, and hopefully that's going to continue to be the case as we put this in motion. You can see how disjointed that's become, had some tight rotation there earlier, and now that's continued to weaken. So we're going to stay on here for a couple more scans of radar to make sure that this is going to continue to be the case before we hop off. But David, what do we got going on over there?
Well, just for everybody who's here in the metro and watching this coverage, we do have some storms that are beginning to come into town. I've been just checking in with our tower camera here, looking to the west from downtown, and we're starting to see a lot of lightning here in town. So you may be hearing some thunder here around the metro. We do have some thunderstorms that are moving on in. Temperatures are cooling off though, so that's a little bit of good news that hopefully these storms will not be as intense. But you can see right down I-35 here, just on the west side of Norwalk and parts of West Des Moines back toward Van Meter and DeSoto. We do have a pretty good thunderstorm that's coming into the southwest side of the metro. No severe thunderstorm warning on this, but there may be some perhaps pea-sized hail. You can see some of those reds and pinks showing up here just to the west of Norwalk, coming into parts of West Des Moines. So you're going to be getting a downpour. You're going to be getting that lightning and thunder, and maybe even some pea-sized hail here just on the southwest side of the metro. But right now, none of this is severe. It's certainly not tornadic, but it will be catching your attention. We're seeing a lot of lightning with this activity as it's coming into the metro. And this storm stretches all the way back towards Stewart, north of Greenfield and Adair County. That's where we perhaps may still have some quarter-sized hail. This storm also perhaps beginning to weaken just a little bit there in eastern Adair County as it's trying to push into Madison County. But that one is still the only severe storm we have close to the metro. But again, there may be some small hail, especially with this part of the storm here just south of DeSoto, and then coming into parts of West Des Moines. There may be some small hail with these thunderstorms. But again, Jason, these are not severe, but they're certainly producing a lot of lightning as they come into town.
Yeah, they are. I mean, all of these storms today have been very electrically active, and it does look like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for Taylor, Adams, Ringgold, and Union County that's associated with this storm. So we'll continue to watch this for a little bit and see if we have any rotation associated with this. It looks broad, as we've talked about right now. I want to look at a couple different things and make sure it's all on the same page here. It does look like it's trying to rotate a little bit to the west of Lenox right now, but that rotation is not incredibly strong, but it is there. You can see that spot right there. So I'll zoom back in. If there's a spot where we would have any tornadic rotation, that's near Mulberry, Locust Avenue, and 110th. Again, it's not the best rotation. In fact, with the last radar update that we just got in, that weakened considerably. So it looks like they have allowed the tornado warning, or they will be allowing that tornado warning.
It will be expiring at 10 o'clock, and they're going to continue that severe thunderstorm warning, but they brought the hail size down. They brought the hail size down to about ping pong ball to $half size. So the hail size has come down on that storm, moving through the Corning area, moving toward Creston. So that severe thunderstorm warning extending, but again, perhaps some signs that it is weakening, that it's not quite as organized as it was earlier. So down from 2 inches to 1 1/4. So that's some good news.
Yeah, and I think at this point, if we're ready, I know we're about 40 seconds away from the newscast, so I think this would be a good time for us to transition into that. So I guess give me a sign if you're ready. I'll continue to watch this rotation until then, but we should be able to go ahead. Okay, we're ready. So we're going to briefly step off here, and we'll see you in about 20 seconds on the news at 10.
Right now, Simpson College and the Central Iowa business community mourn a longtime leader.
Jay put everyone else ahead of himself.
The tributes pouring in for Jay Byers.
A man is in jail after making a threat to Iowa State University's graduation ceremony. What court documents say about how he was allegedly stalking a woman who works there.
A bill requiring fetal development instruction in schools advances in Iowa after fiery debate. Why some lawmakers are pushing it forward and why some are fighting against it.
Finding success at a higher level. The Hawkeye baseball players giving this season a stellar start.
Made Weather Alert Day.
Strong storms are moving into central Iowa. These are live looks from Adair County, Cass County, as well as Des Moines.
And we could see large hail here. We have already seen tornadic
tornadic activity pop up in southwest Iowa. Take a look at this video. This was shot near Tabor. That's in Fremont and Mills counties in southwest Iowa. This is a stunning image. You can see what appears to be a tornado. The National Weather Service will have to confirm this.
Chief Meteorologist Jason Sadeko has been tracking this storm as it moves east. He's been doing so on the air for well over an hour now. We'll check back in with him in just a couple of minutes.